Connell lounged in the dimly illuminated sitting room, his gaze fixed on the clock mounted on the wall. His fingers tapped impatiently against the armrest of the chair. His spouse had yet to return from work, leaving him alone with their twin daughters, Zera and Zara. Connell's mind churned with suspicion. For weeks, he had noticed Oz' peculiar behavior, late hours, hushed conversations, and a distant attitude. His faith in her and their marriage began to waver. It's already 11 o'clock, and she's still not home. What kind of job keeps a married woman out this late? Is she unfaithful to me? He muttered under his breath. Consumed by doubt, Connell decided to take action. A week earlier, he had plucked a few strands of Zera and Zara's hair and sent them for a DNA test. He needed answers. When the results arrived, Connell's hands trembled as he tore open the envelope. The words on the report sent a surge of rage through him. Not a biological match. They're not mine, Connell whispered, his voice quivering with fury. After everything I've done for her, for them. He crushed the paper in his fist, his thoughts spiraling into darkness. Ah had betrayed him, and he swore to make her pay. But he wouldn't begin with her. He would start with the twins. It was a quiet evening when Connell first entered the twins' bedroom. Zera and Zara were fast asleep, their breathing steady and serene. Connell lingered at the door, his expression cold, before stepping inside and shutting the door quietly behind him. "Wake up," he murmured, tapping both girls. Zera stirred first, blinking up at him in confusion. "Daddy, what's wrong?" "Be quiet and listen," Connell snapped, his voice low and menacing. "If either of you utters a word about this, I'll kill you both. Do you hear me?" Zera and Zara exchanged terrified looks, their small frames trembling. They couldn't comprehend why their father was acting this way, but the menace in his tone silenced them. One by one, he pinned them to the bed and violated them. "Daddy, please stop, it hurts," they sobbed, tears streaming down their faces. Connell's visits became a nightmare that replayed each night Ah was away. Zera and Zara lay awake, dreading his return. One evening, after Connell left their room, Zera sat up, her face streaked with tears. She turned to her sister, who was curled at the bed's edge, crying softly. "We can't let this continue," Zera whispered. "What can we do?" Zara replied, her voice trembling. "He said he'd kill us." Zera's jaw tightened. "We'll record him. We need proof. Maybe Mom will believe us if we show her." The next day, Zera searched through her mother's drawer and found an old phone. That night, when Connell entered their room, Zera discreetly pressed record, capturing the horrifying sounds of their father's abuse. The twins endured days of torment before Zera resolved to act. One morning, after Connell left for work, she turned to Zara. "We're telling Mom today," she said firmly. Zara hesitated, fear etched on her face. "What if he finds out? What if he hurts us?" "We can't stay quiet anymore," Zera insisted. When Ah returned from her shift, she found her daughters waiting in the living room. "Mama, we need to talk," Zera said, her voice shaking. Ah frowned, setting her bag down. "What's wrong, my babies? You look so serious." Zara burst into tears, and Zera gripped her sister's hand tightly. "Mama, it's Daddy," Zera began. "He's been coming into our room at night." Ah's heart plummeted as she listened to her daughters recount the horrors they endured. Tears streamed down her cheeks as Zera played the recording. The muffled cries and Connell's threats were unmistakable. No, this can't be," Ah whispered, covering her mouth in shock. That evening, Ah confronted Connell as he walked through the door. Her face burned with anger. "Connell, how could you?" she screamed, shoving the phone with the recording at him. Connell glanced at the screen, then back at Ah, his expression unreadable. "You want to know why I did it?" he said, his voice calm, yet chilling. "Because they're not mine, Ah. They're not mine, and you know it. How could you? How could you deceive me?" Ah froze, her anger replaced by confusion. "What are you talking about?" Connell yanked a crumpled paper from his bag and threw it at her. "Read it. Those girls aren't mine. You cheated on me and you know it." Ah stared at the DNA results, her hands trembling. "Connell, please let me explain." I did it for us. I had no choice. What do you mean? Connell roared. You slept with another man and call it for us? I gave you everything, and this is how you repay me? We were struggling, Connell cried. You lost your job and I was jobless. Your friend Alex said he'd help, but only if I slept with him. I did it for us, Connell, and I've lived with the guilt ever since. Please forgive me. It won't happen again. Connell's eyes blazed. That's no excuse. I trusted you. I'm done with you, and Alex won't get away with this. Connell stormed out, driving to Alex's house with a pistol. When Alex answered the door, Connell confronted him. Did you sleep with my wife? Alex admitted it, trying to explain, but Connell pulled the trigger. The next morning, the police arrested him for Alex's murder. In court, he was also charged with abusing his daughters. Justice prevailed as Connell received life imprisonment and an additional 300 years. And her daughters moved on, finding solace in each other. Though the scars lingered, they rebuilt their lives, stronger than before. Months passed, and Zera and Zara worked tirelessly to rebuild their lives. Moving to a new city provided the fresh start they desperately needed, but the emotional scars were harder to leave behind. Enrolled her daughters in therapy, understanding the importance of addressing their trauma early. The sessions were difficult at first. Zera and Zara were hesitant to open up, but over time, they found a safe space to express their fears and pain. Their therapist, a kind and patient woman named Dr. Tola, introduced them to art therapy and mindfulness exercises, helping them process their emotions in creative ways. For the weight of guilt and regret was overwhelming. She often questioned her choices, wondering if there had been a way to avoid the pain her family had endured. But she found solace in knowing she had acted to protect her daughters when it mattered most. In her spare time, began volunteering at a local organization supporting survivors of domestic abuse and sexual violence. Sharing her story was painful, but it gave her a sense of purpose. She became a voice for those who couldn't speak for themselves, advocating for stricter laws and better resources for victims. Zera and Zara's journey. Zera and Zara's bond deepened as they navigated their recovery together. They leaned on each other for strength, becoming each other's pillars of support. Despite their shared trauma, they refused to let it define their future. At school, they excelled in academics and extracurricular activities. Zera discovered a talent for writing and poured her feelings into poems and short stories, while Zara took up painting, creating vivid, emotional artwork that spoke volumes about her resilience. Their newfound passions gave them a sense of identity and control over their lives. Together, they worked on a project to raise awareness about child abuse, presenting it at their school's annual exhibition. Their courage inspired many of their peers and teachers, who admired their strength. Justice and legacy. Connell's conviction was a turning point for the justice system in their community. The recordings provided by Zera and Zara were instrumental in holding him accountable, setting a precedent for how evidence from minors could be handled in sensitive cases. Advocacy work led to changes in local policies, including mandatory training for educators to recognize signs of abuse. She became a prominent figure in her community, proving that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, change was possible. Moving forward, years later, Zera and Zara stood stronger than ever. Their experiences had reshaped their lives, but they chose to focus on healing rather than dwelling on the past. On Zera and Zara's 18th birthday, I gifted them a scrapbook filled with memories of their journey, a testament to their resilience and the unbreakable bond they shared. As they blew out the candles on their cake, Zera smiled at Zara. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" "Yeah," Zara replied, her voice steady. "And we're just getting started." The three of them hugged tightly, ready to embrace the future with hope, strength, and love. With time, Zera and Zara established a new sense of normalcy in their lives. The years of pain and healing became a source of strength rather than a weight holding them back. Eventually opened a non-profit organization named Haven of Hope, dedicated to supporting survivors of abuse and providing resources for families in crisis. The organization grew quickly, offering counseling services, legal aid, and educational workshops. Ah became a prominent advocate, sharing her story at conferences and events to inspire change on a broader scale. Her work attracted the attention of media outlets, and soon, she was invited to participate in a televised interview about her journey. Sitting before the cameras, Ah spoke with a quiet strength. "I thought our lives had ended when the truth came out," she said. "But pain doesn't have to be permanent. It can be a stepping stone to something greater if you're willing to fight for it." Her words resonated with millions, and donations poured into her organization, allowing her to expand its reach nationwide. Zera and Zara's success. As Zera and Zara grew older, they became integral parts of Haven of Hope. Zera used her love for writing to craft stories and articles that raised awareness about abuse and resilience. Her work was published in major magazines, and she later authored a book titled Silent Cries, Unbreakable Souls, which detailed their journey from victimhood to empowerment. Zara channeled her pain into her art, holding exhibitions that depicted the emotions of survivors. Her paintings became widely acclaimed, earning her a scholarship to a prestigious art school. One of her most powerful pieces, titled Shadows in the Light, depicted a young girl standing in a room filled with darkness, but holding a single, glowing lantern. It was displayed in galleries worldwide and became a symbol of hope for many. Rekindling joy. On a sunny afternoon years later, the family gathered at the grand opening of Haven of Hope's new headquarters. The building, adorned with vibrant murals painted by Zara, stood as a testament to their resilience. As Ah delivered her speech, Zera and Zara stood by her side, holding hands. "We are living proof that darkness doesn't have the final say," Ah said, her voice steady. "Together, we've built something beautiful out of something painful. And we'll continue to fight for others who feel like they're alone." The crowd erupted in applause, and the three embraced, tears of pride streaming down their faces. A message to others. Despite their triumphs, they never forgot the scars that brought them here. Zera often shared this message with other survivors. "You're stronger than you think, and you're never alone. Healing isn't easy, but it's worth it. Don't be afraid to speak up, because your voice can be the spark that ignites change." Zara, too, used her platform to remind others of their worth. "No matter how broken you feel, you are art. You are beauty. You are deserving of love and peace." The future. The family's bond grew unbreakable, a shining example of how resilience and love can overcome even